through conditions in the market as opposed to anything that we forced. Our main commodity we buy are oils and derivatives from refineries.
Right.
And there's been a big shift in Europe, in fact globally. Over the last 5, 6, 7 years, where they're called Group 1 refineries, so the old style refineries that were built during the war years and post-war years, so BP, people like that, and ExxonMobil being really entrepreneurial and building stuff. Now all those refineries are falling to bits beyond repair, and they're too uneconomical to keep open.
Right.
So those refineries are closing. So that's shifted our supply chain from these types of refineries to products that are coming out, the newer, greener, even synthetic refineries that tend to be built in sort of Southern Europe, the Middle East, further afield. So there's been a geographical shift more than a strategic shift. But we've had to chase the dragon, for want of a better phrase, and reevaluate what's available in the market because our products haven't changed. Our customers still want the products that they buy from us, but so we've had to make them in a different way.
So let's say, what was the driver for this change? Was it sustainability or was it cost?
Largely cost. If name dropping BASF have got a problem like this, they've got a huge manufacturing facility in central Germany, which was built sort of as part of the regeneration of Germany after World War II. But it's only been maintained as opposed to being invested, so now the wheels are falling off, and there are parts of that huge facility which are starting to be closed down, and they're replacing that capacity with joint ventures with third parties in places like Canada, Malaysia, the Philippines, where without being environmental, maybe some environmental controls aren't as strong as they are in Europe, but the labour's cheaper, the technology might be better. So there is a shift. If you look around the UK, where are all the chemical producers now? There aren't many left. Again, it's old plants in disrepair and too expensive to maintain.
Right. That's correct. Let's just say, from our analysis, we got to know that the chemical industry changes the least out of all the industries. Say, e-commerce would have a supply chain change probably every 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. Chemical, so probably 50 years, 20 years, 25 years, something like that. So how does that leave the supply chain leader? Because probably you want to change a lot of things that you can't, or maybe is there no requirement to change?
You're right. There are things we can't change where there aren't many sources. We buy one particular product, linear alkylbenzene, where there are 3 manufacturers in Europe. If one of those was to go, then it would cause us a problem. Again, there is investment in this product in the Middle East and the Far East. Then you've got a logistical challenge. So again, as I said before, a lot of the change is driven by economics and by the environmental pressure. But there is new investment in different parts of the world.
So would you say risk management for a company in chemicals?
That's important, yes. We do that, and our customers expect to see us doing that for our supply chain. We know what our risks are, and some are calculated risks, because I have to ensure that we've got a plan B for every plan A. So I've had an issue this morning with quite a sort of unimportant additive that's quite suddenly become quite important, which I've had to offer a plan B because there's a supply failure beyond our control, I hasten to add. So I've always got to have the contingencies in place, things up my sleeve that we can turn to.
Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you differentiate risk mitigation for a chemical company versus a retailer?
Versus a what, sorry?
Say risk mitigation for a chemical company versus risk
Yeah.
mitigation for a retailer.
Oh, against retail?
Yeah.
It's probably, obviously if a retailer's got empty shelves, they've got a problem, so it's probably less important. So for we're in a strange market, so for us it's probably 7 or 8 out of 10 if I look at our business.
Yeah.
There might be other businesses where it's less than that, but within H&R it's easily 7 or 8 out of 10.
Okay. So for a transformation in the organization, how are internal parties represented? Is there a role of marketing, sales, IT, R&D in the change? Are they consulted?
Yeah, we are quite good at not working in silos. We've got multidisciplinary teams that will scope out a change and talk together. We get the right people in the right room at the same time. They tend to be led by somebody from the senior team. We've got a very shallow organisation. For instance, we've just invested £1 million in the plant for a new blending equipment, and that was from cradle to grave. While that was a operational stroke engineering led project, which it needed to be, technical stakeholders, the sales stakeholders, supply chain staffers were involved to make sure we could do all the right things at the right time. We've had projects in the olden days where it's been singular led with no consultation, and they tend to fail. So we've learned by our mistakes. So no, we are quite good about that.
All right, that's a pleasant change. And what about external parties? How were they represented during the change? Suppliers, customers, consultants.
We are very for lots of different reasons. We've got a good relationship with our suppliers, but for certain products in certain applications, we do keep them at arm's length. There are certain competitive reasons because of that. We do want to grow our supplier collusion in some instances where there's less of a risk. I'll differentiate that. One of the key product that pays our bills and our mortgages and feeds our kids at home is we make a fluid that goes in a cable which takes power across the seabed. It's with power interconnectors. If you go online, you'll find out there's a massive contract just been awarded to an Italian cable company to lay a cable from the north-east of England near Whitley Bay, that sort of area, across into Norway and then back. And it's taking normal generated power from Europe to Norway. It's bringing green power from the fjords back into Europe. Massive project, and our fluid is in that cable to protect it from the moisture and from the pressure being at the bottom of the sea. In 2005, we're single source and always have been. It's a proprietary formulation for the oil we use, and the refinery where that oil comes from was demolished by Hurricane Katrina. So we were in force majeure for the best part of 9 months, and we know for a fact that one of our customers went to a competitor to the refiner we buy, a European competitor, with a bottle of our fluid saying, we know it's a certain oil, can you replicate it? So we do know that people have tried to copy what we do or emulate what we do. So those sorts of suppliers in our exclusive products we try and keep at arm's length. On the other side of the coin, we do lots of water wax-based emulsions for MDF, chipboard, IKEA furniture, that sort of stuff. And we're trying to engage with suppliers. It's a very commoditised product and the costs need to be very low. So we're trying to engage with suppliers into that to help them, almost help us to help them, to help us scratch each other's backs to generate the volume. It's high volume, low margin. So by...
Sorry about that. Sorry.
Fire alarm.
Fire alarm. Sorry about that. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah.
it went off and we were there 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that's your test, isn't it?
No, this was actual testing. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, we're trying to engage the suppliers on that product line because everybody knows where it goes. There are quite a lot of suppliers into the market. So if we can generate the volume, the suppliers will get the volume, and everybody wins. So there's no, if we don't make it, somebody else will make it, and that supplier will supply what they supply to somebody else. So there's no risk of losing that business.
Yeah.
So it depends on the application.
Right.
We do try and bring suppliers into the business to talk to our technical people to, because we're not experts on every single thing, and there are lots of developments in the market. So we'll bring lots of suppliers in. We'll sit them down with our technical guys. This is new. Have you thought about this application? Because every day is a learning day, isn't it? And if we can get suppliers involved in that way, it's adding value.
Right. From our analysis, we learned that culture was a major barrier to change. What are your views on this?
The business we're in, we've had big cultural issues. It was a former BP business that H&R bought in 2004. And a lot of people were against the takeover because they got great terms, they got final salary pensions, they could come and go as they please. So to try and bring it up to date, H&R German, so try and put a bit of a German stamp on the company was very difficult. So the business over the last 15 years, even longer now, has worked hard to change that culture. And I think we're still working on that. There used to be a bit of a them and us mentality between the shop floor and the white collar staff.
Yeah.
That's improved over time, much to the work of the current general manager and the current management team. We interact, social functions, meetings, Christmas parties. We talk about the multidisciplinary teams. We've got guys from the plant on these multidisciplinary teams because they know how the plant works and they know how materials handle. So it is improving, but it has been a challenge.
All right. So more engagement with the employees.
Categorically, yes.
Yeah. And getting the white collar and blue collar people to communicate more.
Correct. Yes, correct. Yeah.
So how important was communication during this project? Because you have to send in certain communication to different people. So how important was that? And what level of communication was shared?
It needs to be open. So, we have regular stand-ups where everybody in the business comes together every Monday and the same message is shared to everybody.
Yeah.
So there's no Chinese whispers.
Yeah.
More formal communications sometimes are again verbally spread through the line managers, supervisors into the guys, which again can get broken sometimes or people can get missed. Obviously more formal announcements go out in writing. So, when new people start the business or people leave, then that obviously tends to become more formal. But the more we can do together, obviously the better, because it's a single message.
Right. What are your views on how does one run the business and change the business at the same time?
We're in we've had a weird period where this business was in a real horrible state in sort of late 05, early 06 after the takeover.
Yeah.
So we were in a get well phase where every penny counted. We had lots of legacy debts from BP which weren't sorted out, and it was quite the business was on very unstable ground.
Right.
So easily for the best part of 11 or 12 years, the ownership of the business or the leadership of the business has been financial. And that was for good reason, but that goes against H&R's global ethos, where they want the affiliate businesses run by salesmen because we're a sales-led business. We'd recruited 4 salesmen over this period of time, 4 sales managers over this period of time, with the idea is they would be general manager designates. And again, it wasn't until we got to the 4th guy, who we've got now, he was the right guy for the job. So for the last 2 years now, we've been led. The GM has been a sales professional in the position, and the culture, the ethos, the entrepreneurial spirit, the risk aversion in the business is very different to when we were led by financial people.
Right.
We've got a 5-year business growth plan, which is to double our profitability in 5 years. We're a year into that plan, and that's going very well. So, there's lots of positivity around the business. We can see investment in the plant. We can see volumes going up. We've got more bums on seats, so the headcount's improving. So lots of positive vibes. So, and that is down, it's almost down to one person's leadership, which has made a lot of difference.
So, coming back to your point of being led by someone from the finance team, how challenging is that? Do they just stick to numbers?
Yeah.
And not look at the big picture?
Yeah, it was always down to bottom lines and, margins. Today we've probably got products that are loss leaders. We hadn't got those. We hadn't got those when we were financially led. There was more pressure on operational expenses. Things like the stationery budget and the entertainment budget was more scrutinised, and yet we could throw £10,000 down the drain on the plant in 5 seconds if we weren't careful. So the focus was possibly the wrong areas. And also with U-turn from that now, we appreciate that sometimes you will get unmitigated costs, but for the right reasons, and just don't do it again. The focus of the business is different.
So does that bring the morale down for the employees? Because you're cutting down on stationery, you're cutting down on a lot of basic stuff.
Yeah, of course it does, yeah. Some of the focus was in the wrong areas. Right. And since we've been sales-led, the morale is much better.
That's
significantly better.
That's a pleasant change. Moving on, is there a supply chain member on the board committee?
No.
And is that challenging for you?
Yes. Our UK structure, it's very weird.
Yeah.
If I look at our structure out into Germany, I've got an international boss who is supposed to be international supply chain. And so if I have a problem in my time of need, I can pick up the phone and talk to him.
Yeah.
But because his experience of the affiliates is, when I say affiliates, these are all the blend plants they've got around the world, of which we are one. So the affiliate businesses have all got their own specialisms and buy weird and wonderful things. So his experience of those is limited. And because we have pressures in Germany, he's very inwardly facing. So easily 80-85% of his work is assisting our own refineries with crude, feedstocks, those sorts of problems, than being outwardly facing. Secondly, rather candidly, my line manager, who's the operations manager, isn't a supply guy. I sit in the operations team, but his experience of supply chain is very limited and very old. So, while he's my line manager, all my actions and my interactions are with other members of the senior team, like the GM or the regional GM. So it's a very skewed line, but they're the more experienced guys who've got historical supply chain experience. As of about sort of 6 weeks ago, my role's changed, so I've now got the Dutch plant under my remit.
Okay.
And I will be reporting into the senior team meetings monthly. So I'll have like a 15-minute, half-an-hour spot to do my
You'll have a say now.
I'll have a say now, but I'm not on the board. I'm just a guest, I suppose, or a special guest.
So how, if there are any issues in the boardroom, how are they resolved then? Because you don't have any supply chain member there, and
they're not discussed at that level.
Okay.
Unless it was really critical.
Okay.
The dissemination of the actions is pretty poor. The last meeting, because of holidays, was in June, and half an hour before they were due to start, Ian, my boss, said to me, "Oh, by the way, you've got an action from last week's meeting. Have you done it?" Which he hadn't told me about. So how was I to know?
Yeah.
So that needs to improve, but it might improve now. I've got my half an hour of fame in the meeting.
Yeah. All right.
again, the thing I'm fighting against is this historical notion that purchasing, in inverted commas, is a back office function.
Yeah.
And myself, when Mikhail, my German boss, started in the business,
Yeah.
myself, my Australian and my South African counterpart were invited to the head office in Hamburg
Right.
to present where we thought a global supply chain body could go.
Yeah.
And one of the statements we put out, which I'd learned doing my Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply, was that supply could be a profit centre for a business, not a cost centre.
Yeah.
Which, obviously, if we do our job right, we can make the business money.
Yeah.
And that got poo-pooed by some of the guys there. But again, all these guys who are there aren't supply chain people, they're all salespeople.
Yeah.
They go around just trying to get the best price they can, and they're not looking at the things that can add value behind the scenes.
That's correct.
So that's always a battle, and we always champion our successes. If we can get a better deal or a better saving, or find a product that's better than what we've got and it's more efficient, then we'll shout those from the rooftops because people can see we're doing that, we're adding value.
Paul, this has been a very common issue. I've spoken to around 20 people now, and
Yeah.
everyone said that what we've learned is that supply chain add values is not being put into practice.
Yeah.
People
I know
keep saying
it does. Yeah, I know it does, and Preet sitting next to me knows it does. And we can only keep shouting our successes. Would I want a seat on the board? I probably wouldn't, because they'll not get bogged down in so much crap
Yeah.
talking about the most mundane issues. Because I've seen the minutes of some of the meetings, I've seen some reactions I get involved in. But if I got bogged down in some of that sort of stuff, which is maybe a bit selfish, then that would impinge on what I'm trying to do for the business. So I think we're doing the right thing on progression, whereby my role is becoming more strategic, and it's becoming more with the dual site operation where we have some commonalities. I've got Preet on board to fly the branch here.
Right.
I've got there's people in the Dutch business which we need to get we've got a few square pegs in round holes at the moment. We'll get that right, and then I can see us having some success. But it's difficult because of the mundanity they get dragged down into sometimes. It's only people issues rather than anything more strategic for the business. But we do have an aging senior team.
Mm-hmm.
The GM and the compliance manager and the operations manager are the wrong side of 55.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll all be looking to retire at some point soon.
Right, soon, yeah.
So really that only leaves the technical manager and the finance manager, who are the right side of 45-ish, I think. And, we tend to recruit from within, so there could be changes there where it might be enforced. We need people around us. So we'll see.
Right. So a general point that came out of all my interviews was that procurement still is based on cost.
We just have to do the best for the business. The best isn't always the cheapest.
Yes.
We can buy some right rubbish, which is compliant to our purchase spec, but it's still worse than something I can pay a little bit more, and it flows through the plant better.
Mm-hmm.
I can see in time my department will have KPIs which will be linked to saving, which is very old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Because it's about total cost of quality as opposed to the bottom line numbers. There are other efficiencies and savings you can get.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be up to me to try and convince the business that for sensible targets, you can't just say, right, I want 5% off you spend 2020.
Right.
That's a real 1970s way of looking at it.
Right. So now going back to collaboration again, our research showed that companies that had exceptional levels of internal collaboration, but that did not affect the success ratings. Why do you think that might be?
What was the last statement? You can only... When you said businesses have got high levels of collaboration, you could only do what?
I mean, the question that we asked them is, how would you rate the internal collaboration? And how were the parties represented? Were they on the steering committee? Were they consulted, informed?
Yeah.
So overall, when the companies had exceptional level of internal collaboration, their successes weren't changed. They remained the same as a company with a medium level of collaboration. Could it be because too many people involved? Could it be because not the right people involved?
Okay. I think we've had experience of all of that. We've had teams where the wrong people have been involved. We've had big teams that are too big, and there's too many cooks. But I think we're on the way to getting it right. We've had some good results. We different GMs have had different ways of trying to move actions around the business, and they've had varying degrees of unsuccessfulness. But I think we've got it right now. We're doing sort of teams surrounding different aspects of the business. Like I'm on a team about creativity and entrepreneurship. You're on the team for integrity. Which are important pillars of the business, but how do we get that across to everybody? And how do we show when our customers come into the site, or our suppliers in fact, that they can see that we're moving forward, we're a progressive business.
Right. Our research showed that if an organization has a global and holistic approach, and the transformation is aligned with the overall business strategy of the company, then everything else falls into place, and the chances of success increase manifold. What are your views on this?
Again, from H&R's experience, there's been some sort of hard things we tried to put into place. I was on the implementation team when we moved to a JD Edwards system in 2008. And the business had the idea, one message in one room. So all the key users were flown into Hamburg, and we all sat in a big room and were taught how to use this new system. And it was taught in English, which was great for me. But a lot of my colleagues from Thailand, China, Japan, Malaysia sat there smiling, and it went in one ear and out the other. So when we switched the switch to go live, they crashed completely because they weren't trained properly. Right. So we've moved that ethos now to do it on a local basis, and not just for the MRP, but for any change that H&R wants to put into place. Right. It's done in the locality and in the local language and in the in their culture. We've got huge cultural differences around the world across different time zones. Right. And, something that's important to me is totally insignificant to somebody in my Malaysian branch and vice versa. So we operate change, I suppose, in small clusters. Don't get me wrong, if there's a huge edict coming out about, I don't know, we change our corporate identity policy, or we change our any of our corporate statements, anything that's done at corporate level. Right. But again, that's sent out to the owners of each site, and they will disseminate it likewise. For anything that there's a huge respect for local customs, and so things will be done locally. Right.
So any other?
I know other businesses are different. Sorry for butting in. Previously, I worked at TRW, who are now BF Goodrich. Right. And if the US owners had got an edict, it was just delivered everywhere in the US tongue, and that was it. There was no conversion for localities at all.
All right. Any other key issues about this transformation you had, or any supply chain related discussion you want to share with me?
I suppose the recent one we've done, I mentioned this customer in Italy who are doing the cable build from Whitley Bay to Norway. Yeah. They're based in the south of Italy. So very, very strong Italian culture. Always want something for nothing. Yeah. They've been stung. They made the decision themselves about 3 or 4 years ago to use our fluid in an application it wasn't designed for, and it costs them a lot of cash, 8-figure sums.
Wow.
So they're now tremendously risk averse as well.
Mm-hmm.
But what we wanted to do is, because the logistical route to southern Italy from UK, if you're moving bulk liquid tankers, is quite complex and challenging and expensive.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to change the service to a haulier who could offer a better service and save them money at the same time.
Right.
So we introduced this to them about 14 months ago.
Yeah.
I actually went to Italy myself with the haulier to sit in front of them, and we spelled out the benefits and did a presentation and told them how much it might save.
Right.
And it's only been in this last couple of weeks, so almost a year on from when we went, we've actually started using this truck for the first time, this particular haulier, because we've had to build their trust and send them samples and, you know, assure them there'd be no change to the condition of the material. We've had to jump through so many hurdles to put quite a dramatic change for both businesses into effect. It's almost building their trust. Which is where collaboration's good, because this particular haulier are Norwegian-based, and we are very much in bed with that haulier on planning and accessibility to their systems, and they've got onboard telemetry and all the nice modern stuff that a nice haulier has got.
Right.
So, that's probably one of our biggest supply partnerships we've got, which is on the logistical level.
Yeah.
But again, not so much. We've changed all these in the past, so it wasn't so much a big change for us, because nothing, our planning doesn't change.
Yeah.
The change for the customer is supporting that change for them.
Yes.
Because we have to build their trust, some of the benefits. It was almost two cultures meeting.
Exactly.
Meeting as one, just trying to get the point across. We're just undergoing maybe a bit of a site change here, which could lead to another transformation as to how we supply the site with different products. But that, I'm working on that now, so I'm just doing sort of scoping out some figures and looking at maybe renting some tanks to store vessel-going products in the UK to bring to our site here. But I'm at the start of that process now. But normally, the business is responsive to change if they know it's for the better, and it ultimately improves our customer service. Which
these are promising signs.
Yeah, and while we've done this change to Italy, and it's going to enhance our profitability as well, our service to our customers is also of primary importance. If you look at Brexit, Darren mentioned Brexit.
Yeah.
We, for this particular customer, to protect them against a hard Brexit, because nobody knew what was going to go on, they had a campaign of trucks, maybe 15 trucks that needed to be there in April.
Yeah.
But we preloaded them and got them into Europe before the 29th of March.
Right.
So they're cleared duty-free. And then we paid to store them until they wanted them in Italy, which wasn't cheap. But that was deemed to be our risk to keep them happy.
Right.
Because when we started talking to them about the fact that they might need to clear stuff into Italy, it was a hard border, it frightened them to death. So we did that to make them happy.
So that was some good collaboration there. Mutually beneficial, let's say.
Yeah, and then they don't pay their invoices on time. They've got 180-day terms, and they're paying even longer than that.
180, wow.
Yeah.
But honestly, I've seen this in many companies. When you have huge contracts, the payment terms are 3 months to 6 months. And that takes a huge toll on the cash-to-cash cycle of the company.
Yeah.
So, how do you get that kind of capital?
Our working capital is strained sometimes. It's not a new phenomenon as well.
Yeah.
Again, we've got customers in the same field who are Scandinavian, and they pay on time, all the time, without a problem. Italy is a different kettle of fish. It's Southern European mentality.
Yeah.
We are working to close that gap, and we're also going to work to improve our supplier terms on the feedstock of that business, which is from the US. If I can get them up to 90-day terms, then that's going to improve things. I'm currently on 60. So it's an interesting proposition. Much of our problem is we bill them for a lot of the extra stuff that happens in Italy, which is if they delay things or if they change things. And there was going to be an argument between the sales team and their team. But, you know, it's almost captive business. They can't go anywhere else for it. Obviously, their cash flow, they were taken over quite recently, their cash flow is going to be strained as well because they won't get paid for the cable that they make until how long after it's been, you know, laid in the sea maybe. So, you know, there's a reason for that.
I mean, this is again a cultural problem, let's say.
And that's what our sales manager is working hard to close. It is this sort of Magnon attitude. You know, we've dug a hard line this summer because if they have won this new big project, they can't be paid for that any later than what they should be paying. So we are digging our heels in.
Because I've seen this in the UK, the tenders are usually incremental payments. So you complete certain phase of work and you get paid. However, in Italy, Spain and the Indian subcontinent, I see that money is only paid once the job is complete.
Indeed. You know, we sell this stuff in a campaign again of maybe 10, 15 trucks per go. So every truck has an invoice and that the terms are ticking when that invoice is raised. And so that 15 trucks could be over a 30-day period. So that first truck, if they wait 30 days for the last trip to go in and then start counting the terms, you can see how it grows. But for us, each one is an individual transaction.
Right. Right. Anything else from your end?
I just think our business is in an interesting position. You know, the business growth will take us in some new avenues with new end products, new suppliers. Our supply chain is always changing, as for reasons we spoke at the start of the call.
Right.
You know, Brexit, of course, is a huge challenge. You know, it could cut some things off to us temporarily if we do have a hard Brexit. You know, it's never a dull moment. You know, it's trying to make it as secure and as cost effective as possible.
Right.
Don't always go hand in hand, but you know, it keeps me getting up in the morning. I keep coming to work.
Yeah. Lovely.
I think we have some unique issues. You know, talking to some of the guys at Cranfield the other week, and when I do other networking events, we're certainly unique in the UK as to what we do.
Yeah.
We've probably got 2 competitors in Europe who do similar things to what we do. So there's, you know, we are quite a niche business, and people like to supply us.
Yeah.
Because they like having this sort of niche badge on their lapel. A company that does what we do. One of the analogies that was given to me when I started is we turn a lot of water into wine.
Yeah.
We're buying oils, waxes, we're buying chemicals that aren't designed for the purpose that we're using them for. But that's where our USP comes in. We're adding value. Our blend technology and our chemistry and our, you know, the technical analysis that we do is our finished product when we've done the magic.
Right. Right, that was very insightful.
No problem at all. No problem at all.
It's been quite a learning from speaking to you. It's been nice. Learned a lot about the chemical business today.
Yeah, it's again never a dull moment. It's always quite fun.
I mean, it's completely different from what you learn as a student and what you see in the real world. Is completely different.
I think I've been in procurement for about 30 years now.
Yeah.
The ethos is the same. So you still plan the same, and you still, you know, you're using the same theories and technologies, but you just adapt them around. You know, I spent a lot of time in manufacturing, but with metal and metal components and what have you. And it's still much the same ethos, obviously just in different markets. We've, again, sort of legal control is huge. We have to be respectful of that, and that's growing. And again, Brexit could improve that even more, or change that even more. It's, you know, the huge change is the geographical shift and the technology shift as things change in the market.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, 10, 12 years ago, this site was almost wholly supplied by UK manufactured parts,
Yeah.
UK manufactured oils and waxes, and now it's minuscule, the UK portion.
Right. Right. All
And the
right.
European portion is in decline as well.
All right. Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to add to this?
I don't think so, no. you could come and work here now, you know that.
Yeah, this is a lot of information. To be honest, it's really good. But, I've just been surprised of the interviews I've taken. Every organization has its own unique issues, and
Yeah.
some of them really amaze me. How such a simple thing was not followed.
Yes.
It's just amazing. So a final copy of this research will be published in October end. Would you like to have a copy of that?
Yeah, that'd be good. Thank you.
Yeah, I will share that with you once it's done. Additionally,
Right.
will we be seeing you in Amsterdam for the workshop?
Well, no, you won't. You won't, I'm afraid. I can get away with driving to Milton Keynes, but I couldn't get away with flying to Amsterdam for it.
Oh yeah.
Sadly, sorry.
No worries. No worries. All right then. Thank you for your time, Paul.
Pleasure, no problem at
Talking
all.
to you, and I will send you a copy
Yeah,
of the
keep in
white
touch.
paper.
Nice one, thank you.
Absolutely. Take care of yourself and have a good day.
Cheers. All the best.
Cheers. Bye bye, Paul.
See ya.
Bye.